Hi there, welcome to the Noah Presgrove case. Today we're focusing in on some community post because I've not done that for a little bit, and it does involve some important responses by the likes of Robyn Smith, and as you know, we've continued that theme in recent time. Robyn Smith has responded back in regard to the Texas boys situation, which is quite important considering we've highlighted that group or type of people previously in regard to the possible cause of death for Noah Presgrove through an accidental vehicle outcome of Noah possibly falling out the back bed of a pickup truck, and with Texas boys heading north, supposedly, based on traffic reports or lack of it, going the other way south. You know, you could piece it together, but if what Robyn Smith says is completely true, and supposedly it is the truth, like kind of almost, does it debunk it in a way? In some way? Who knows? And I'm keeping it somewhat vague for now because you will see it yourself very shortly. So be sure to stick around. Let me know your thoughts. And we'll probably do that piece first with what Robyn had said in response to Jan Fiorillo's comment. I know not everybody can stand Jan Fiorillo, but if you want to put some earmuffs on or like an eye protector or one of them little face mask and just rest, don't worry, I'll read it out for you. I'll do the hard work. It's okay, all under control. But we'll do that one first, and then we'll see what else Jan Fiorillo has had to say in recent time, because there's some important discussion points in regard to Kaden Pressy, the situation there, and I've got my own thoughts as well. I will read the stuff out, but maybe in terms of breaking or analysing it down, I'll do it independently without it just being static on screen, because I know people don't always like staring at a blank wall, which has a lot to say. So welcome to those that are currently here during this live premiere. Share your thoughts, opinions, reactions in the live chat box on the right hand side of the screen. And if you do want to share additional comments, if you've got anything additional to say, questions, whatnot, leave them down below and we'll see where that goes. It should help with spreading awareness of the videos too. If you want to catch up on recent videos of mine, you'll be able to find that top right where the eye symbol is. Click there, you get the full playlist and some loose videos too. And if you want to support this channel, down below in the comments section, there'll be a pinned message by me with a PayPal link. Shout out, for example, to Tim Daniel in recent time for their support on the channel, and anyone else in between, and even as a heads up in the future. With that all being said, we might as well jump into today's video and see where things are really at. As you see on screen, this is actually on the Justice for Noah Presgrove page, and what's more interesting here is where Jan says to Robyn, tagging her, in reviewing my notes. I wonder how many notes there are. I have one note asterisked and underlined that still puzzles me. I cannot remember if I heard the family make this statement on a podcast. Tick, tick. You mean TikTok, or Partners in True Crime episode, or in comments, but can you confirm if LE told the family that the Texas boys had been cleared? My question under this note, why would LE clear some of the people at the party Sunday night and not clear others? Still don't know. Please confirm or debunk. And down below, Robyn Smith immediately. Robyn says, the LE police did tell me that Texas boys had been cleared, meaning that they're innocent. I don't remember which podcast we talked about it on, or when exactly, but they were cleared. Is that it? Case closed. What does that mean for the cause of death or the possible outcome? Does it debunk everything in recent time? Or at least counter it with this particular response? And Jan says, do you know if they meant all the Texas boys that were aware of at that time? Or if any additional Texas boys have been identified since they told you about this? Well, obviously that's key. So many questions and for some reason, no answers. Robyn Smith says there were 5 Texas boys in total. They knew of them all at the time. Right, so there was only 5 Texas boys that showed up at the party. And in terms of how we've interpreted it over time, it might have been assumed in some way that it was more than 5. It might have been 10, 15, 20, but it sounds rather underwhelming, the total figure here. Only 5 Texas boys. But you know what? It's the perfect number in regard to what Jack Newton had said previously in regard to the side-by-side rollover. 5 to 6 passengers, in which Noah was the driver. 5 of those passengers could well be 5 of the total Texas boys that were at the party. There we go. Something worth looking at. Do we have any additional responses by Robyn? Where's Tammy? Tammy Durden. Do you know if it's true that the Texas boys were there and went looking for Noah with Avery Combs and Carter Combs, like Brooke Bounds Carter has said recently? And did Ellie know that when they cleared them? And Robyn Smith responds, this is not true. There we go. So we're actually getting some communication from Noah Presgrove's family, now, which was needed. But what do people think about this in the chat? Are you shocked, surprised? Robyn Smith is saying that Texas boys did not go searching for Noah with Avery Combs and Carter Combs. Now, if that's the case, is Robyn possibly referring to AC and CC not searching either? What's going on here? Texas boys didn't go searching for Noah with Avery and Carter. Comes across that way with Robyn's points. But do we have any additional comments here which could bring any... Okay, here we go. Robyn responding to Heather. We'll just read Heather's first. If anybody would desire to go down a traumatic case in Bryan County, Oklahoma, a young man named Aiden Hulsey was assaulted. Okay, a different one. Robyn, so sad. I hope the DA steps up and actually does their job. I was so shocked. They were saying there isn't enough to charge anyone. Enough to do their job. And whether that be by Robyn Smith... No, actually, it was Ashley Chadwick, I believe, with a recent post or a reshare of a post on the Justice page, which doesn't seem to be available or accessible now. And the caption was along the lines of, the way it's going or the way authorities, agencies are handling it. And I guess it was in regard to roughly in the location in general, in regard to Noah Presgrove as well. So I'm just thinking, is there a link there? The victim's family's frustration with police and authorities just in general and with other cases outwards. It makes me think. Now, yes, there are discussions here, but I don't want to go too deep with them because not everybody finds it that fulfilling. But I do want to acknowledge, what some people have to say, of course. And more so what Noah Presgrove's family members actually have to say. Because at the end of the day, victim's family should be closest to receiving key information and communication with time, especially with police, more so than general public and police. Brenda. Shout out to Brenda, good individual. Someone on the Army page shared a screenshot of a comment by Stevie Howard saying Texas boys left around 2 a.m. It was shared under a post a couple of weeks ago. Right. Brenda, I hope you're watching right now. What you've just said there is very, somewhat important, I guess. Because there was another comment by Stevie Howard at one point regarding to the security cameras, CCTV, not working. But at one point they were working just after Noah had left and it showed Texas boys leaving. Does anyone remember that? It seems difficult to find. I wonder if Brenda's reference here to a screenshot could be the same or similar to what I might have seen in the past. Because the timing of if anyone had left shortly after Noah had left, they'll be going in the same direction. What could they have seen? There could be a witness in some way. Right. What's this particular one? Let's see. Who is that? Is that Carter? Is that Carter Combs? And this is what the problem is. Whilst Jan Fiorillo may share a screenshot here, it's not like it shows the names of the people, so it could well be Brooke Bounds Carter. It's impossible to see with the profile picture, but that does look like Jack Newton and Carter Combs. Jack Newton, yeah. Anyway, let's just read it. By the time he walked off, as in Noah, everyone had left except the Texas kids and like our close friend group that remained at the party, fair enough, and apparently some other girls that were there left. I'm guessing that could well be Breely and Georgia, I guess, and even Stephanie Milan at some point, but I just heard about that, so I'm not sure. Someone's response, no one followed him, do you know? In response, no, the cops already have their names and addresses. I didn't even know them. But after he was gone, as in Noah, for a while, everyone was looking for him. Noah, I bet he was kidding and didn't let anyone find him. Yes, he did. He couldn't find one of his shoes. He was like dang near a mile. And it was a UTV with a roll cage. There was several people on it. No one was hurt. No one was hurt, yet Kaden Pressy has seen footage or a photo which shows Noah with a bloodied nose. The semi-driver found him, and I called his boss, which was super weird. It would have been nice if the name was actually shown. There we go, Jack Newton. As said, it's always nice to have a name with a photo attached for full context, and that's what we see here. We may have seen this in the past. No harm in bringing it up once again. No, they even took my Ranger into evidence and released it because they said it had nothing to do with how Noah died. You think a random vehicle got him, maybe? No, because there was zero traffic through that area from when he passed away to when it was called. So at that time, at a point in time in the past, Jack Newton said no random vehicle involved due to zero traffic. But Jack Newton at one point was also pushing, and Stevie Howard, the idea of hit and run. Obviously, it was at different times. People's mindsets can change. What's this about? Through the area when he passed away to when it was called. According to Terrell's store cameras, I'm telling you, it was either the Texas boys or the semi-driver. And I've already messaged the semi-driver asking if we could talk. As for the semi-driver, what's the name of that individual? Just so I don't get mixed up with the different abbreviations. But for Jack Newton to think it could have possibly been the Texas boys, that's quite interesting. But obviously, what we just seen earlier, Robyn Smith saying, police told me Texas boys are cleared from the case. Completely innocent. Is that good enough? You'd hope so. I'm sure there'll be people that would still be a bit unsure, uncertain. Now, how do those make any sense? Were they still there when Noah walked off? If so, how could Ellie clear them? According to Jack Newton, Texas boys were still there, and then another statement that it was the Texas boys or the semi-driver. Okay. Some familiar names and faces, of course. I'm also here for what seems to be it. Deborah, not Deborah I'm thinking of. Interesting. I can. So that's the main response by Robyn Smith there. I'm just going to add on my thoughts right away. To be honest with you, after hearing about that, I wouldn't be surprised if it actually triggers more responses and resistance and counterpoints of, no, it's not possible. That can't be true. No, they must be still responsible in some way, regardless of what side that's from, because it doesn't matter, from the dark side to the light side, there has been a push or an interest in maybe the Texas boys may be responsible, or maybe they may know something. And at least from what Robyn Smith had said, it's still second-hand or third-party information passed on. And you just have to hope and believe in what Robyn Smith says is the truth from what the police, Ellie, have told her. And yes, I've done a previous video in regards to Robyn Smith's comment in regard to there is evidence to support that Noah Presgrove wasn't alone. And I saw the odd comment in response saying, well, based off what she said and other things, that he wouldn't have killed himself, well, then it's not suspicious. Her comment. Did I say her comment was suspicious? No. What I'm saying is very interesting is that if there is a form of evidence, what? Hard evidence, phone data ping-based evidence, video photo footage evidence, DNA print-based evidence of some sort to say that when Noah Presgrove took his final breath, when he was killed or when he died somehow, there was someone or some people present to be involved or to witness it. Could it still link back to, though, maybe not so much today, but in regard to yesterday at the time, that the evidence was Noah could have been in a moving vehicle, and that vehicle, the black box, or a phone ping of some sort, linked to Noah because of the timing of it somehow. Well, if it was to be linked with Texas boys, and what we've seen today, Texas boys have been cleared, well, it doesn't seem to link anymore. If the Texas boys have been cleared, does that mean it's not possible for Noah to be in the back of one of the Texas boys' trucks and accidentally fall out? At the end of the day, what needs to be acknowledged is being cleared from something means you're not responsible, possibly, for the actual death. And in other ways, you're cleared because you're not responsible for seeing or witnessing or knowing of information or withholding it in regard to somebody else being responsible. When you're cleared, it's because you're just purely innocent. But have we seen the police say it themselves? No. This is what I mean. You should be able to believe and trust what the victim's family says. Because if you can't do it there, then where can you? And if there is no hope, then there's nothing. But to be careful, to protect yourself, you still have to be cautious. And sometimes cautiousness rubs off the wrong way with other people and is seen as disrespectful. Shouldn't be like that way. Honestly, in my opinion, in my head, reality is, if I come across people in this world who are very cautious, closed off, I understand, I respect it. As long as they don't turn on me, then it's all good. Because believe me, I have come across people in the past who may appear a certain way. And whilst it's understandable, their true colours have shown down the line. Light, dark, positive, negative. Does not matter. Abuser or victim. I can be on the receiving end of it in many ways. And that is why I'm quite serious with time, just with what I've experienced. But my understanding can be applied to cases and communities like this. So it is under control. But I think what is ultimately needed, screenshots or posts or case files or some kind of official stuff from police that says it word for word by them officially, that said number of individuals are completely cleared. Would that still be good enough for people? Or could some say, well, they might have been cleared, but the people that are clearing them are corrupt and covering for the Texas boys? Well, with how this case has gone, that will be a theory or concept which will come out at some point at least. But in regard to Texas boys being completely oblivious, unknown to a possibility that Noah could have been in one of the Texas boys' trucks, vehicles and fallen out, but there might not be any touch-based DNA or evidence that links Texas boys to Noah, as in the death, the scene, touch-based murder, none of that. But could you indirectly trace back the vehicle that Noah may have been in? Is there a possibility, let's put it this way, if all of the Texas boys' vehicles, depending on how many there were, of all of the Texas boys' vehicles, if they had been searched and checked for DNA, would any of them yield a result in here's Noah Presgrove's DNA inside of this bed of a pickup truck? Yes or no? And if so, does it directly link to a time frame of when Noah had been in that vehicle at a time. Might be more difficult that to do so, but there could be cleared in regard to they're not part of a murder, cleared in they're not part of knowing or being aware of it at the time or seeing someone else responsible. But if they're oblivious and they're completely unaware of what happened at the time and Noah was still present and Noah still fell out of a vehicle, people could take it to their grave without even being aware that they were not responsible, but just present at the time. Even if that wasn't the case, other people could ask the questions of how are the Texas boys cleared? What evidence or what alibis prove their innocence? What, because they remained at the house? For Robyn Smith to say that the Texas boys never went searching for Noah, what does that mean for Avery and Carter then? And maybe Logan or any other people? How it's been worded, I think, by Brooke Bounds Carter was Texas boys gave Carter and Avery, for example, a lift in getting about, going onto the highway, spending maybe about 30 minutes or so when searching, getting to the first sand plank crossing, and then coming back to the house, returning. Robyn says, never happened. If it never happened, and you got Justin Roy that says, well, based off what partygoers had said with the announcement of the geofencing or geonetting, that they claim that they did go searching. It's all over the place, isn't it? So who are people listening to more? What Brooke says, what Justin says, what Robyn Smith says, victim's family member? Let me know your thoughts maybe in the chat, or if we do a poll somewhere. Quite eye-opening. The true timing of when Texas boys left, we saw the comment on Facebook just before by Brenda in regard to a screenshot what was supposedly posted by Stevie Howard at some point or reposted in regard to what Stevie once said about Texas boys leaving at 2 in the morning. The earlier the Texas boys leave, the better it is for them and the more innocent they likely are. If people had left the party house before 3:30, if not earlier, and have gone home and have distanced themselves, well then they're likely going to be innocent, in my opinion. But for those that remained at the party house around 3:30 onwards and anybody else nearby, a person of interest. Honestly though, out of, let's say, 40 party goers in total, out of the 40 people, how many have been cleared from the case? I know you can say, well, a handful of them attended on a Saturday, maybe Sunday, who may have not returned back. But just honestly, in general, 40 people maximum. It's a number that's gone around quite a bit, right? By a range of different people. How many have been truly cleared? 5 Texas guys cleared. What does that mean for the Kaden Pressys, the Jack Newtons, the Averys, the Carters, the Jasmines, the Stephanies, and other people in between, the Isaacs, the Brylands, the Mikeys? What happened to those people, the more familiar names and faces? So, with that being said, there's only so much that can be talked about within reason. We'll move on to the likes of Kaden Pressy and what Jan had to say there. It's a bit of a long one, so if you do want to get a drink or settle down, feel free to do so. Maybe get some food as well, or do some knitting or anything else in between. Mow the lawn. By the time you're done, I'll probably still be reading the comment, but it just needs to be done. Let's head on over. Once again, back on the Justice page, Jan says, edited to expand. Just another observation of mine. For months, everyone from a certain camp keeps screaming for Kaden Pressy to show his records. This ongoing demand for him to show records began in July when it was first announced that records and possibly digital forensics were being obtained. What digital forensics, as in the phone data, phone pings, geonetting, along the lines of that, which maybe Alicia Lee had made reference to in the Parts in True Crime Part 2 interview, saying that the police have got, and it proves that Kaden's timeline of 5:15 is correct, and you'd hope to believe in that and think that's all good then. Even if it does go against the majority of people within the case, it's a start, but from the public surface level, it's just not been revealed. Is there an expectation or a demand, maybe by some? Is there any form of reasoning behind it though? Yeah, and I'll do that myself later, but let's just see what Jan says here. I think it's very interesting with Jan's wording to say for months, everyone from a certain camp. A certain camp could possibly mean the dark side in general, could possibly mean the Sofa Sleuth page, and maybe a portion of the case discussion, certain aspects. But to say everyone, as in 100% of the human race from a particular group, demand for Kaden to show proof. I think that's a bit reckless language to use, Jan. Might need to rethink on that. The same camp demanding his records be shown are the same people who have not for 15 months shown Noah's family phone text logs of Stevie Howard. Is that Bub Wilcoxon, BW, RM, Renee Millan, CN, Caleb Newton, or Colton Newton? Okay. Proving they were not contacted by their kids before the first 911 call was made. Of course, we have seen the call reference in regard to Victor Presgrove squashing rumours by saying Noah never reached out to me in regard to a call for a ride home. Obviously, that's earlier on, but still, there's a little mention there. See, it's interesting, Jan, because you mention about people who have not been assisting or helping Noah's family. Okay, fair enough. But what about Kaden Pressy, though? At least from Robyn Smith's vague comment in recent time, Robyn did say the only way she found out and heard about Noah wanting a lift home was through Facebook, as in general discussion. That Kaden Pressy was a witness to what Noah wanted, but Robyn said no one reached out to her in person or like privately or on a one-on-one basis. So why didn't Kaden Pressy cooperate with Robyn Smith then? Besides these other people not cooperating with Noah's family. Just seems a bit selective in a way. Jan says, you didn't show yours, still won't show yours, so why do you think you are entitled to see or even know what Kaden's records show? Well, I do understand what Jan is getting at. The only counterpoint is Kaden Pressy has put himself out there more publicly online. Other people have chosen not to do so. Other people have chosen to remain private and work with the case and those involved and the authorities in a formal way, besides pleasing people online. Kaden Pressy says he doesn't want to please people that want to know or desperately need to know, but those that the right people that need to know, as in authorities, Kaden will reach out to. And in terms of Kaden and how he presents himself over time, Kaden has kind of gone against that mentality. So things obviously have changed and shifted. But I will explain a bit more with depth shortly, just so there's no misunderstandings here, as long as people can be bothered to actually sit, listen and learn when I'm doing my videos and talking. Because as we know, we have come across some questionable people along the way. Not anyone with these records that can help in the regard, and not even any confirmations from Ellie. Why? The only straight from the Ellie horse's mouth that we've heard from is Noah's family, the party host family, and their spokesperson BBC Brooke Bounce Carter relays a lot of alleged third-hand, third-party hearsay information that leaves the plausible deniability door open for the people they claim to be getting inside Ellie information from. This information, stated as facts, is no better than gossip and should not be given any weight. Always consider the source, as we're finding out that a lot of one's believable sources have turned out to be nothing other than liars and provocateurs, intentionally disrupting and possibly intentionally obstructing Noah's investigation. But I think one thing you need to acknowledge, Jen Fiorillo, it's actually part of the dark side that we're responsible for getting a hold of contact or information from Victor Presgrove, Noah's father, in spreading it as awareness that the Noah wanting a lift home and directly reaching out to his father for that was a complete rumour, but it was turned into a fact because of the community from possibly the army page, the case discussion page, and spread about with time. And that it was the dark side in recent time that we're able to get a hold of a screenshot from what Victor Presgrove had to actually say, which debunked stuff. So the dark side has done some good, and people have learned, but once again, people have quickly forgotten like a goldfish. So there's that as well, just to balance things up. Correction, I think Jack Newton has made a statement here, and they're about Ellie told him. Not sure if they were private or public statements. Anybody with knowledge, please confirm. In what regard, though, told him? As in cause of death, time of death, or something else? Personally, I feel there is accountability for anyone who knows or has information that a rumour is false and makes no attempt to correct it. Anyone who knows for a fact that someone has lied and does not speak up is complicit. Okay. Truth is, the guilty already know what timelines are accurate. Stevie Howard, Bob Wilcoxon, and same names, Avery Howard, Carter Combs, Jack Newton, Jasmine Millan already know if they made any contact with one another before 911 call was made. Hopefully Ellie knows as well. The 911 calls being made like 5:53, 5:43 to 5:46, in between that area and them. But that's, interesting. Noah's family may not know, and the public whose theories and rumours are all over the place for sure does not know. Finally, to add, anyone who agrees or disagrees with my point of view are welcome to contribute to the conversation without worry of me attacking or belittling you for your thoughts. To the contrary, I want to hear. I mean, it's interesting, Jen Fiorillo, how you mentioned about, it's all welcome to the conversation and no worry of me attacking or belittling you. And yet you, Jen Fiorillo, had dropped in some little digs here and there in regard to me with your long paragraphs on YouTube. Very interesting. A little bit rich, but there we go. Comment-wise, depends who's typing. We've got capital letters, great start. I'm mainly just checking if any of the family members have responded, of course. Teresa. See, there will be some individuals here and there, not specifically, but certain named individuals where I'll see them and I'll be like, oh yeah, because they may have been viewers on my channel at some point, some people. I'm just talking in general right now. But I go elsewhere, say stuff here on my channel, and then go behind my back elsewhere. Same old. That's why we do cleansing with time. Do we have anything else mentioned then? Tattoos. Full load. Justice for Noah Presgrove. KSWO. Full load. Oh, they did the early interviews, didn't they, with Noah's family or something? In regard to this particular video or post, KSWO, is that a new one or an old thing? It's reposted. Okay. I'm just briefly taking a look down here just to see if there was anything else of interest. But that seems to be it there. Yeah. I mean, in terms of this justice page, you got the case discussion page. As for the army page, I'm no longer a part of it. No explanation as to why, it just is not searchable anymore when one searches for it, so likely hidden or blocked or kicked or removed, but it is what it is. I thought I'd just bring it up once again just in case people didn't see or hear my previous video about it. But yeah, one of those things. Let's just say all groups disbanded, disappeared from my vision. No problem whatsoever. You get the other styles of videos that come along the way in regard to the case. Look, I think a lot of humans out there underestimate me, because when it comes to older cases with small scraps of material, and I literally mean that, over 400 videos made, yeah, I think it's somewhat under control, don't you? My raw thoughts in regard to the supposed entitlement that a certain set of people demand evidence, proof, phone data records, geonetting, geofencing, phone pings and all that to prove Kaden Pressy's timeline is correct or whatnot of 5:15. Those people that are demanding could also be considered very passionate because they believe it's just not possible based off what they know or people that they know of on behalf in regard to what's really the case, such as a 6:15 timestamp, not a 5:15. You cannot comprehend it. It's hard to believe. You need to see proof of it, just like if you've got a magic trick, you just can't process it. You have to see the secrets and what's going on behind the scenes. It's the only way. But is it still considered a level of entitlement? A little bit forceful, a little bit pushy, but in fairness, you can't just be singling out the dark side for that or the Sofa Sleuth page for that, because I'm sure there would have been times of entitlement or pushiness from the light side in regard to other areas of the case and whatnot. Oh, show us the shower footage. We need it. We need it. Show us this. Show us that. Where's the tampering of the evidence? We need this. We need that. Maybe there's a process to it all. Maybe some stuff just cannot be shown. I mean, phone pings, phone data, quite important. Has any of the phone pings been released ever? Not to my knowledge. So why should only Kaden's be released then? That would be a little unfair. See, at the end of the day, it shouldn't really matter too much. Even if the general public were demanding certain types, entitled, pushing, forceful, hungry for more and more. Shouldn't really matter, because if the police are the ones in hand of the case and have got the material and evidence, they should be able to have it under control and not be pressured or harmed in any way whilst the investigation continues on. You know, what about the Dylan Rounds case when there was that time-lapse footage in regard to the killer Brenner accidentally turning on or unlocking Dylan Rounds' phone, accidentally hitting the record, activating the time-lapse. Phone landed perfectly, which was pointing towards Brenner, blood on him, cleaning a firearm, and it's within a 27-minute difference of when Dylan had made it, the victim, to the grain shed. And then the next known phone ping or timestamp on Dylan's phone was after the death, within about 30-minute difference of it all going down. And for years didn't see it publicly. Once, the case was ongoing and gone through and justice served, and then after that point, then case details, notes, material, and lots, thousands of photos, videos finally released, and it actually showed it as proof. But along the way, you had BS people saying, oh no, it's not true. It's not a time lapse. It's not a video. It's none of that. It doesn't even exist. Well, you're complete prats now, aren't you? See? And I can remember visually in my mind all those prats and twats. Okay? Add that to the dictionary if you want. Maybe it could be a new business setup called that. Oh well. But I do remember those from the Dylan Rounds case, what they had to say and how they countered it, how they said, oh, it doesn't exist, it's not true, it's not actually this, it's something else. And then in the end, it was proven to be true with hard evidence. All you could do is just listen to what the victim's family had to say and take their word for it. And eventually it was reinforced down the line. There was a bit more consistency there. Can the same be applied here? Same measure cannot be applied because Noah Presgrove's family hasn't been as vocal online. Not that they have to be. Everybody reacts and does things differently. But it comes down to the order as well. And I'm just talking in general here. If you put yourself out there online in a rural area where you're reaching out for help from the general public, you're asking for help, and if people are kind enough to help respond back, do you owe them anything? Maybe owe them a thank you, owe them a form of appreciation. A bit of give and take, but there's also a level of understanding too. But from the perspective maybe of the general public, that may form some kind of connection with the other individual online. there might be a slight form of entitlement, but also anticipation and hunger. That if you do reach out to people, or you do share things, or you give a certain request or order in which it, I don't know, triggers a response from the general public, you kind of teasing the idea of maybe more and more, and on the receiving end, people take it, bite, and want more. So then when you do stop, people get a little bit more passionate and think, no, we want more. Or if at times you then think, right, well, that's enough help, we're done now, I don't want your help anymore. Depending on how you do it and how you say it, if it's in a cold way, or you reject people, or it feels like they're being pushed back, they might retaliate back more and think, how dare you? You reached out to us for help, you owe us. No, it shouldn't be like that exactly, but I'm referring back to the Dylan Rounds case, that it was the victim's family that reached out on social media for a voice, a platform, relying on the general public, relying on creators to spread awareness, and the victim's family relying on the general public for a conducted public search, hand in hand, covering distance. And with time, once that was done, and the general public felt they were involved and they were valued and wanted to do more, then Candice Cooley, the mother, kind of went cold and said, nope, we don't need you anymore, we don't want you anymore at this moment in time, just stop, because we've got other searches being conducted, the police are now stepping in. And the reason why people took it the wrong way and why it backfired is because it came across as a cold response in the first place, but also it was because of Candice Cooley and others slagging off the police because they're being incompetent to begin with. And that's what led to the victim's family reaching out to the general public in hopes of finding more competent people. So you reach out to competent people because the incompetent police aren't doing their job properly. And then later you're like, you know what, incompetent people, general public, we don't need you anymore. We've got the police now. Yeah, but you were criticising them before, but now you want them. It's kind of like picking and choosing when it suits you. There should still be a bit of an understanding, but you can see how people can feel disrespected by it. How the hell does that link to the Noah Presgrove case? Well, in terms of the hunger, the appetite, what people want, what people may need, updates. If party goers and people of interest don't put themselves out there online in regard to the case in the first place, then the general public don't really have a right to be demanding for answers from them, because there was never a connection or reaching out in the first place. You're keeping to yourself. You're cooperating in the background as you should. Do the general public need to know? No. Is it normal or understandable for the general public to be curious? Yes, within reason. But someone like Kaden Pressy is a person that has cooperated with the right people in the background. But Kaden ever since has cooperated with people online publicly too. And in regard to that original call with Trooper Anthony Linares for the very first time, where Kaden reached out to him, and he was having that call whilst Kaden was on vacation in the car, and he recorded it. Documented on my channel, if you look back. And the reference by Kaden was, roughly said, that Kaden will reach out to the people that need to know, as in the authority. Kaden will not entertain those that just want to know, as in the general public. Needing is more important than wanting at times. Needing can have more value, depth behind it. Wanting could just be temporary, not meant with as much behind it. But in terms of following through with those words, it's not remained consistent, because ever since, Kaden has been more vocal online, which, it's not a bad thing. It should be welcomed. It gives people a chance to learn a bit more. But Kaden won't always respond to people's questions or points. I mean, to my knowledge, I've never seen Kaden Pressy react or respond to the Mikey Lair Snapchat. Is that because he just can't respond because of legal reasons? Or because he knows the actual truth and doesn't want to acknowledge it because it could lead to backlash on him somehow? And that can be interpreted any way you want, okay? Because it can be. I know we've heard it about, Kaden shows up, he's getting harassed, attacked, or in the chat. I mean, it's like the equivalent of if you're a most wanted person in regard to other people's interest, he may detest you or not like you, and maybe you haven't done anything wrong, maybe you are misunderstood. And then where do you go? You go to that country where people don't like you, and then you're completely screwed, and it's like, oh, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening. See, if you see shark-infested, dangerous waters ahead, is it worth walking into it or finding an alternative path around it to avoid? Not that you should be forced to avoid, not that you should be forced to hide, of course. You should be allowed to show yourself, show your face and say what you got to say, of course. Hence why there's freedom of speech here from different sides, and offence and defensive for that discussions and debates. But, it's the equivalent of me. If I went to another community that is obsessed with me and negative towards me and threatens me, if I went over there, left a comment, if I ever did, which I never will, but if it did happen, and then what? Bad things happen, and then I'm like, oh, why is this happening? This isn't good. I don't deserve it. True, I don't deserve it. But was it a smart idea, me presenting myself there when it's already a threat? Obviously, not a smart decision. In terms of the live chat with my videos are two separate things. Maybe along the way, general public may assume or link the live chat with the outcome or quality or the overall perception of my video, but it can be two separate things because of the style and format of how the videos are uploaded. My videos are recorded before a live chat even exists, before anyone even mutters any words. My video is my own video, unique to myself, my channel. And then how it airs for the very first time, it's done as a live premiere, meaning people can react to it live, meaning people can get together live, and it's led to some key people showing up with time. So yeah, there's that. I don't know if certain individuals will be satisfied with the response or the way it's going here, but all I'm saying is, when it comes to Kaden Pressy, because he's put himself out there more online, that's why he's more of a marked target. If the likes of Jack Newton and maybe Carter or Avery put themselves out there more online and said a lot more, where there could be room and space for misunderstandings or possible conflict and or inconsistencies, you never know. Because at the end of the day, the more you speak, the more you talk, the higher the chances you may slip up at some point. The more I talk about chocolate chip muffins and the chocolate chip things on top, there's a chance at some point, if I keep going over it over and over again, I'm going to go from chocolate chip tops to chocolate chip tips, and then it gets out of context and it gets dodgy. Even saying it slow like that, I had to be careful with how I worded it, right? Tongue twisters as well. You keep doing it over and over again, you might slip up. You're out somewhere in a certain location which could be known for being dodgy. You go there once, you get lucky, you go there again and again and again. You're tempting it, as in something bad could happen eventually. Should it be like that in the first place? Probably not, but if you sense something, then you should be a bit more alert in regards to how it could end up. If you're going to put yourself out there a lot, then there's chances are that there'll be more chances of criticism, more chances of questioning. And yeah, you can say, why is Kaden Pressy taking it all? Why is Kaden Pressy being questioned much more than other party goers? Why is Kaden Pressy being criticised for discrepancies more on his way compared to other party goers? It's common sense, because other party goers have chosen to keep quiet. Kaden Pressy hasn't. If all the other party goers acted like how Kaden Pressy did, it would mean that when I do my videos, how I question Kaden Pressy could be how I question Jack Newton, Avery, Carter, Jasmine, and so on. Not exclusive, not personal. You work with what you've got at the time. And it just so happens that there is more material in regard to Kaden Pressy than there is with other party goers. So, does that mean it's okay for people to demand proof and evidence from Kaden Pressy? Is it entitlement or not? Is it a bad thing or not? Well, at least from what Jan Fiorillo is directly getting at, is Jan is more so referring to those people or those on behalf of others that are pushy and are insistent on Kaden showing proof and evidence. But those same individuals that are pushy and want it are not willing to show their side of their proof or evidence. So it's kind of like one-sided, at least from what Jan is getting at there. If you've got a member of the general public who can't help or assist in the case because they're just a member of the general public, but they are somewhat determined on wanting Kaden to show his proof and evidence, you can't blame those people, can you? Because, once again, if you put yourself out there, you tease people in different ways. You tease people the idea and concept of you know important stuff. People are going to want to know more and start crawling and scratching at it, trying to find that truth. You start teasing about you do have evidence and what you say is the truth and it can be proven and backed up, but you're not going to show it. It's just going to send people into overdrive, teasing them over and over again. They want it, they need it, and more. If you keep your mouth quiet, shut, you don't say anything at all, you're not getting anyone's expectations up, you're not giving people a big appetite, you're just keeping quiet, a low profile. Everybody acts and reacts differently, of course. You should be able to act how you want to within reason online, yes. But you also need to be aware of how other people can react and respond to it. You know what I'm saying? So specifically with the dark side, have the dark side ever shown hard evidence of phone data, phone pings, geofencing or geonetting publicly? Not to my knowledge. Is that because they just can't? Is that because the police haven't given the thumbs up? Possibly. Well, then that same level of understanding and patience should be applied to Kaden Pressy then, at the end of the day. But what I will say is, though, in the meantime of silence and patience and things pending for however how long it will be, when it comes to Kaden Pressy, if people respond back and say, I don't believe Kaden Pressy's timeline, and when Alicia or Kaden say about the geofencing or geonetting the phone data proves that 515 timestamp timeline is correct and what Kaden says is 100% correct, if the general public say, well, we still don't believe that, it's not good enough, it's just words, it's hearsay, the general public should not be attacked for saying that. You should have the right and you should be allowed to remain skeptical, even if it does come from a key witness, a key person of interest. If you haven't seen the hard evidence yet, the actual main piece, the hard evidence itself, you should be allowed to be skeptical still. And if you get attacked for that, well, the individual that did that attacking, it's very unfortunate and definitely lacking reasoning ability there. So there's that. I said, the second half of the video, maybe not as important with that long paragraph as well, but the initial first part of the video, more so to do with Robyn's response, very interesting with the Texas boys and the number 5, which can link back to the side-by-side rollover and whatnot. How significant is a side-by-side rollover? Significant enough that it wasn't that clear or resolved that quick early on. And when something is difficult, it can have more meaning behind it. It can have more weight, it can have more value behind stuff that's difficult, positive or negative. Shouldn't be that difficult, but it has been. But supposedly 5, as Jack says, Robyn doesn't mention that, but she does mention the number 5, so you can link one with the other, possibly with appropriate language and wording. Not for this to then trigger people jumping off on one, going onto other pages and saying, well, this person said this person said that, it's a fact. No. It's an interpretation. And I think that's a major problem with quite a few humans out there, is that they can interpret, assume, presume things, but they don't use that word. I interpreted it as this. From how you can infer from that, that's what it could suggest. People are not using these words. They need to be used, these words. They have to be, right? But that aside, hopefully you found the video somewhat interesting. That's it for now. in regard to other things, off subject, how would I word it? So like you got the warlike ref, the University of Warlike Ref. Oh yeah, it's just suddenly been said. Yeah, the University of Warlike Ref, PhD in Whipology. In fact, with time, those that study and practice and are tutored privately. Those that graduate, with a diploma, a little fancy style hat, certificate, no. That when you graduate from the University of WLW, you will be handed your very own black belt. And you wear it, you use it, you do whatever the fuck you want with it, and you do it with pride. So in terms of it being handed out to different individuals, also members on the channel, Tim Daniel has graduated the Warlike Ref Academy. There you go, Tim Daniel. There we go. Extra shiny as well. Yeah. In terms of Strawberry, excelled, graduated. There you go. BBC, say hello to BBW, the Big Black Whip. Graduated as well. Skimmed Milk, graduated too. There you go, shake the hand. There's yours. Anybody else? Beauty Rumo, don't worry, we'll find one in your size because you're built differently. Yeah. Now, to put it into perspective, the previous one is this, and as you can see, it's been used heavily, okay? You can see the layers. It's completely damaged and destroyed. It's just a good sign that it's been used very effectively and very well. This has actually been used on people's Wi-Fi boxes to fix their internet connections, and we've had at least 1 or 2 customers, and very reoccurring ones, to say the least. Isn't that correct? Strawberry. Fast broadband internet, smooth and flowing, but not quite as much like this. But this is what I mean. You see something like this, it's worn, it's torn, it's battered, it's damaged, needs some TLC, can't be revived, just completely a mess. You get something so smooth and soft and flowing with a shine on the surface, just like Beauty Garumo. There you go. We found it. Take that. There we go. I'm sure there'll be conspiracies by others out there saying, oh no, Warlike Ref has armed and deadly gang members. Oh no, what am I going to do? Well, I'll think long and hard about it. I'll stick my head into the wardrobe as well and reflect. But that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Videos playlist up there. PayPal link down below. And yeah, goodbye, good night for now.